Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest economic stories of 2025, President Trump's tariffs and how they're hitting everyday Americans right in the wallet. If you're feeling the pinch at the grocery store, the gas pump, or when shopping for holiday gifts this December, you're not alone. These tariffs, imposed on imports from pretty much everywhere, but especially China, Canada, and Mexico, are acting like a massive tax hike on American families and businesses. Let's break it down step by step, with the latest data as of late 2025. First off, a quick refresher on what these tariffs actually are. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods, paid by U.S. companies when they bring stuff into the country. President Trump kicked off his second term with a bang in early 2025, signing executive orders for 25% tariffs on most goods from Canada and Mexico, citing issues like border security and fentanyl, and layering on more for China, pushing rates there up to around 20 to 32% on many items after some back-and-forth deals. Then came the big one, a universal 10% baseline tariff on imports from nearly all countries, plus higher reciprocal rates on others. By mid-year, the average U.S. tariff rate hit levels not seen since the 1930s, around 16 to 18%. There have been exemptions carved out for things like coffee, bananas, beef, and some energy from Canada, but overall, we're talking about tariffs covering trillions in imports. The White House says these are paid by foreign countries and will bring jobs back home, boost manufacturing, and fund things like tax cuts or even rebates. But here's the reality check. Economists across the board, from the Tax Foundation to Yale's Budget Lab, J.P. Morgan, and even some Fed analyses, say the burden falls almost entirely on Americans. Studies show near 100% pass-through. Importers pay the tariff, then raise prices to cover it. The Tax Foundation estimates these tariffs amount to an average $1,100 to $1,400 tax increase per U.S. household in 2025 to 2026. Yale's Budget Lab puts it higher in some scenarios, up to $1,700 to $3,800 annually depending on how you count short-term versus long-term effects. That's like a hidden sales tax on everything imported, from clothes and electronics to car parts and food ingredients. Let's talk specifics on prices. Inflation cooled a bit to 2.7% in November, but tariffs are a big reason it's not lower, and why some costs are spiking. Apparel and shoes? Up 17 to 37% in the short run according to various models, even after exemptions. Toys and holiday gifts from China? Prices jumped noticeably this season. Electronics and appliances with metal components? Higher by double digits in many cases. Groceries aren't spared either. Imported fruits, seafood, and processed foods have seen bumps, adding to that Thanksgiving dinner pain many felt. Auto prices are another killer. With integrated supply chains across North America, those 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, even with USMCA exemptions for some, are pushing new car prices up by thousands. Estimates range from $2,500 to $6,500 extra per vehicle long term. Small businesses are getting hammered too. Bank of America reports profitability drops for the first time in years, directly tied to higher input costs and hiring struggles from tariffs. Retailers like furniture companies and toy makers have warned of price hikes starting now, as pre-tariff inventories run out. Now, the big promise: jobs and manufacturing revival. Trump said tariffs would bring factories roaring back. But the data so far? Manufacturing has actually shed jobs for 7 straight months through late 2025. Overall job growth slowed dramatically, only 64,000 added in November, with unemployment hitting 4.6%, a 4-year high. Why no job boom? Higher costs make U.S. companies less competitive globally. Exports are down sharply because of retaliation. Canada, Mexico, China, and others hit back with their own tariffs on U.S. goods like agriculture and energy. The trade deficit did shrink a bit in some months as imports dropped, but that's because Americans are buying less due to higher prices, not because we're suddenly making everything here. On the revenue side, yes, the government collected a record over $200 billion in tariff revenue this year, way up from before. The administration touts this as a win, saying it could fund debt reduction or even those promised $2,000 rebates. But critics point out it's regressive. It hits lower-income families hardest, since they spend more of their budget on tariff-affected goods like clothes and basics. Plus, the economic drag, slower growth, higher inflation, offsets some of that revenue through lower other taxes. Growth took a hit too. GDP slowed to around 1.9% for the year, with forecasts for 2026 even weaker. J.P. Morgan and others blamed tariffs for knocking 0.2 to 0.5 percentage points off growth, pushing global slowdowns and even recessions in Canada and Mexico. There are some bright spots or arguments on the other side. Deals with Japan, 15% instead of higher, temporary truces with China, and exemptions have softened blows in spots. Supporters say long term, it forces fairer trade and rebuilds strategic industries like steel and tech. Tariff revenue is real money coming in. But most independent analyses, from think tanks left, right, and center, conclude the costs outweigh benefits for most Americans. It's reduced investment due to uncertainty, fueled volatility in stocks, despite tech rallies, and made affordability worse at a time when people are already frustrated. As we head into 2026, eyes are on the Supreme Court challenges to some of these tariffs' legality under laws like IEEPA, potential new deals, and whether retaliation escalates. Will prices keep rising? Will jobs finally turn around? Or could this tip us toward tougher times? What do you think? Are tariffs worth it for bringing manufacturing home, or are they just making life more expensive? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. If this video helped, hit like, subscribe for more straight talk economics, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll catch you soon.